Hey guys, welcome back to my classroom. Today I'm going to be taking you guys along with me for a day in my life as a teacher, but I'm also going to be sharing some of those organizational tools that I use to really help support me as a literacy teacher. So get ready, you're going to see what it's like to start the week on a Monday, and let's go through and get organized. One of the first things that I do every single morning when I walk in, even though I get here insanely early, and I say that probably sarcastically because I don't really get here insanely early. I get here an hour before I'm supposed to. So that's normally around 7 to like 7:15, depending on how tired I am. This morning, I am here a little bit earlier. But what I like to do is go ahead and get my morning message up. Now, I already have this pre-written. I try to write this either the night before or the day before I leave like my classroom in the afternoon. And what this does is it allows me to just feel like I'm ready. I got my stuff together. So I will open up my computer and then I will go through and open up all my tabs. And so one of the tricks that I have for you, or the organizational tools, is that I have bookmarked all of my tabs together. Let me show you. So I have two different Google Chromes that I will pull up. One of them is attached to my school account, and then the second one is attached to my personal account because I have certain items that I want to get to on my personal account. So what I have done is I've just created like, here are my school day tabs. And so I have them already posted up. They're like in a folder. And then all I have to do is just double click and then open all four. And it'll automatically open all of the tabs that I want to have ready for the day. These are the same tabs that I use every single day. And so I know that once I have that up and ready, I am good. One of my favorite things is just pulling different like backgrounds, musics, that kind of thing off of YouTube, and then I will use Safe View in order to present that. So this one is currently my favorite, so I usually will play this one. It is Hogwarts Library. You are not to judge my love for Harry Potter here. All of my students tend to judge me, but that's okay. So I will have that posted up, and then I'm going to open up my other tab. So this is just my normal Google Chrome. I will sign in under my personal accounts, and I have the same thing. I have a school day professional tabs, like personal tabs, and then I'll double click, open all three of these ready to go. So these are the ones that I have like on my personal drive. You're probably wondering, why don't you just stick them all in one drive so I don't have to worry about it? Because I had these from my previous school when I used them, and then I just stuck them in my personal drive and I didn't want to move them again. So that is why. But I have my morning message one. It always pops up at the very bottom. So I scroll up to the top and I have that one ready to go. And then I also have my win time slides, and I'll talk about these just a little bit later on. I do have one other tab to open up, which is going to be my warm-up slides, because we are doing a warm-up today. I don't typically do these every single day. It really just depends. But I do have that one up and ready to go. Okay. So now my slides are all done. So the trick there is just to have all of your tabs grouped together. I'm gonna leave a few links if you're curious on how to do this. To be honest, y'all, I don't really remember how I did it. I Googled it. So I'm gonna leave some links to how to do that down below so that you guys can go and check that out. But that is one of my favorite organizational tools because I can get my stuff ready in no time flat. I made my coffee at home this morning because I don't have creamer here at school. So I need to remember to get some creamer at some point this week. But it is still very warm because of this, I don't know, what it is, like it's a carrying cup. I don't know what they're called. Sorry, don't judge me. Okay, so one of the other organizational tools that I will utilize inside of my classroom is going to be my 43 folder system. Now, I have raved about my 43 folder system so many times on my channel because it is something that I learned back when I taught kindergarten. It's something that I have used over and over again, and it has been a tried and true system that I just love. So I want to show you guys what this system looks like, but I'm also going to leave like a little link to a video that I did explicitly on how to set up a 43 folder system inside of your classroom. Okay, so I feel a little bit embarrassed showing you guys my 43 folder system at the moment because I'm not as planned out as I normally am. And that is because we are going to be having this Friday a full working day for teachers, and normally is those days when I'm able to get a lot of stuff planned. So it's a little bit bare here, but what it is 43 file folders. And what you do is you have 12 folders, one for each of the months of the year. So there's more back here, but I don't really use those right now. And then you have 31 of them, one for each possible day that can happen inside of a month. So you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then it just kind of keeps going. And what you can do is you will sort your papers based off of the day that you're going to be using it. So right now I have January up front because that's what it is. Today is the 9th. And so I can pull this and I have my materials ready to go for some of my small groups. I can plan very far in advance. And so after today, what I will do is I will empty this out, and then I will move anything that I need to move to other folders, and then I will place it behind February. So I have February right here. Then I have March, April, May. And so as I use one of the dates, I will move it back over behind the 8 so that I can always plan for a month in advance. Now I also have some little things because I have a fluency folder that I send home with some of my kids. And so I have a calendar ready to go for these other months so that I just need to make copies when I need to. So like I said, it allows me to plan very far in advance. And I really love this system. It works fantastic for me. So I mentioned earlier that my students are going to be doing a warm-up with me today, and I wanted to show the warm-up activity that we're going to be doing and talk you through a little bit about it. So here is the warm-up activity that we will be doing. We are going to be practicing breaking our syllables. So the students are going to be using their whiteboards, which are located at their desks, and they are going to take the words that we have here, and they are going to break those down and try to identify the syllable type. So this is something that we've been working on, and students are going to be practicing that, and we're gonna have a conversation about it. So I mentioned that my students are doing this on their whiteboards, and it's really important for me to kind of note that they are doing this on their whiteboards because I am not a big believer in giving them morning work booklets. These can be the things that are packets that they have to do a section every single morning, because what I like to do is try to focus on the warm-up so that it ties into the lesson that they're working on today. So today we're doing vocabulary. We're introducing a new story to them, or a new text because it's informational. And part of the vocabulary is that we're breaking it down into syllables. So we're gonna do some practice with that before we get started with the lesson. And one of the next organizational tips that I have for you is to have a basket of Expo markers separate from their whiteboards. So this was a lesson that I felt like I had to learn. I think it's been about 2 months now, but my students would either eat the Expo markers, we would lose them and I would have no idea where they would go, or they would sit there and they would just draw constantly during times when we were not using our whiteboards. So in order to minimize the behaviors that I was seeing inside of my classroom, I took all of their Expo markers and I put them in a basket. So I have this little table that's here, and what I'm gonna do is put this on the table. Students will get their whiteboards, they will come to their spots on the carpet, and they will have an Expo marker. They do have erasers in their desk that they can grab as well. So just a little organizational tip that just works so much better for me. Now, obviously, I can't stop them from drawing whenever they're sitting here on my carpet, but I can minimize that as much as possible, especially when they're working independently at their desk. Now, this is not to say that I don't let my students grab those Expo markers when they need to use them during the day. They just know they have to put them back, and it allows me to limit behaviors. Okay, So I mentioned to you guys that I'm also doing a lesson, and today we're doing it on vocabulary. So I'm going to introduce our new mentor text, which is the Who Would Win, the one versus hyena versus honey badger. Love that one. And on top of that, we are going to be doing ask and answer questioning. We're going to talk about some text features that are in there as well. And so today is kind of the build up. We're doing a lot of work with vocabulary, so that way we can add that to our wall up here. So one of the things that I do is I print out my anchor charts, and these are just graphic organizers that I expect my students to use. And I like doing this method because students have a very clear understanding of what it is that they have to do with a graphic organizer. A lot of the times we hand them to students without really showing them what this looks like and how we utilize them. So I'm gonna show you guys how I print out my my graphic organizers into like posters, essentially. Welcome back to my computer screen. So what I have done is I've opened up my organizer using Adobe Acrobat Reader. So that's where it's up here. It says Adobe Acrobat Reader. And this is important because this is the only way that you're going to be able to print it out. So what you have to do is make sure you click on this poster that's right here. And then I change my scale to about 180. If you want to see what it looks like, all you have to do is click on the arrow buttons that are over here, and it'll show you what it looks like. So you can see that it's printing out on 4 different pages. You can change a little bit with the overlap. I don't typically do that, but also make sure that you are not printing double-sided, which I'm not. So I'm gonna go ahead and I have 2 of them coming out. So I'm gonna have myself print these, and I'm gonna send it to the printer. So there she is in all her glory. I'm still struggling with words this morning, guys. So what's nice is that my students will be able to utilize this. We will be able to see it together. I might have them do a little bit of shared writing with me this morning, and then they will have a couple of words that they're gonna go back out and practice with. Now at the beginning of the year, I only start with 1 word. We've kind of bumped ourselves up to 2 words, and at some point, probably around like February, March, we're gonna have about 3 vocabulary words that they do independently. And I usually model about 2 of them with them. So we do one where I show them how to do it on the graphic organizer, and then the second one, I will have them do it on their whiteboards. So they will work collaboratively with partners, and then I will give them feedback where I need to give them feedback. So that is gonna be my lesson for today. Very exciting. And I wanna show you what I do with these once I have them done, because it's always the question of, do you post them? Do you just throw them away? So I have a little solution that I've been using since kindergarten that I think you guys will really, really love. So over here in my classroom, I have this green binder, and inside of this binder, we call this our anchor binder. And what's nice is that once I'm done with our graphic organizers or anchor charts, I will take a picture of them, and I will only print 1 in color. So you can see this one's context clues. I have 1 that's in color, but then I will make some, about 5 or 6 typically, that are in black and white. And what that does is it allows me to be able to go back and reference them if I need to reference them. In some cases, I will also add a little blurb about what this was and why we did it this way. And so that way students have an idea of how to go back and utilize them. So again, you can kind of see here we've done these. Here's a vocabulary example. And so I take these pictures and I drop them into a Google slide, which then allows me to add a text box, and I just fill the back of the text box. But I have been doing this for quite some time, and I do have a few of them that I need to add to this binder. But it is a fantastic resource to have inside of your classroom, and a great way to organize anchor charts, especially if you are limited on space. So it is currently my lunchtime, which my lunchtime is like right in the middle of the day. So it breaks up my day really, really well. I've already met with 1 of my blocks. So we did social studies, we had reading and writing, and I wanted to show you the vocabulary work that they ended up doing. We did a little bit of shared writing during our read aloud today. So let me show you what that came out like. So here is the vocabulary word. It was confronts. And so I had the text posted up on my board using my Kindle app on my iPad, and we were reading who would win, the honey badger versus the hyena. And so we had I infer that confronts means to go toward something, because in the text, we missed that part. The author gives an example of the honey badger biting the lion's nose. And so we have an example representation there, and then we also went through and looked at the syllable break and what type of part of speech and syllable types we had there. So they did a great job, and now I'm going to do this all over again with my next group. But before that, I wanted to show you guys another organization item that I'm loving for my literacy block, and that's my pencil parking lot. This was something that my partner teacher who teaches math and science purchased for both of our classrooms. So I think it comes in a 2-pack. I will leave a link to the inside of the description so that you guys can go and check it out. But basically what we've done is students don't carry pencils back and forth because we were having such an issue with losing them. So it has a numbers on the side, and each group of students has their number, and then as they need it, they will just pull it from the parking lot. But at the end of class, I will make sure that all of the pencils are back in my parking lot before I dismiss them. Now, I've already switched to my new group, so I'm missing some here just because those groups of students have already pulled their pencil for the day. I love that setup. I have not had to replace as many pencils as I did before, which is phenomenal. And it's a very quick, easy, I can look at it to see if all my pencils are there before I dismiss my class, and I make them all go and find it. So it works out really, really well for my classroom. So I have my food heating up at the moment. I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes to warm up because I started it a little bit late. And I'll show you guys what I bring my lunch in every day because it's a fantastic little device that I think every single teacher needs to have. But before that, I wanted to show another organizational item that I love. So I take these containers, which you can get these from the Michaels store. They're very small. I think you can find these in the jewelry aisle. So wherever they have like all the beads and the necklace strings and all that, very small. But what I love about this is because I use this for my reading groups. So as you know, because we've been focusing so much more on phonics, and because the group of students that I have really need phonics instruction, I like to have letter cards. And so I use these versus magnetic letters because I feel like the magnetic letters have that baby kid feel, and I want these kids to feel like grown-ups, like bigger kids, not grown-ups, but big kids. So I have these little letter cards that are inside of it. We have some die. We also have some of these little counters. They're like the clear counter type things. And what they do is they can push it for the sound. So if I want to practice sounds, we can do that here with that. And then they come with a little felt pad so that they can use it as an eraser. So I like this because I can sort them out. And then for the cards that we're going to be using, I will normally have them up front. So I will go ahead and have all of those cards sorted out so that they don't have to dig through them. It just becomes so much more complicated. So let me turn you guys around so you can get a better view of this. Okay, so here is my little pocket. This is where I keep all of the cards. Blue is for consonant, the yellow is for vowels. And then if I have focus words that we're gonna be working on, I will go ahead and pull the cards that they're gonna need, and then I will place them there. So I don't have them playing with these cards, I have them pull from this. Like I said, I have die for certain activities. I have a little felt pad, whoops. And then I also have these little counters. So it's a very easy little system that I have, and it makes cleanup during small groups really nice. While we are talking about these little kits that I have, which you guys can see that I have just multiple kits right here, let's talk about another organizational item, which is this cart. I love this cart. I got it from IKEA many, many years ago, and I use it every year. So every year it changes just a little bit, just depending on what I need inside of it. So as you guys can see, I have these for when I want to do partner practice and I just want to group them. So these are just like circles. Then I have all of my kits for our phonics. I have some hexagons if I want to do a hexagon activity already ready to go. And these we can just use dry erase markers, and then I put them all over my small group, which is real fun. I have some sentence strips that I can just pull out very easily, and then I have these little phones, like whisper phones that students can use, and then these have a ton of different types of pointers that I keep inside of it. At the bottom, I have some fidgets, I have my table cleaning, and I keep some markers here if I need to use them for anything. And then up top, I have my whiteboards. I have this for my intervention groups, which I do fluency groups for my grade level. And then I have some different conference forms, that I keep there. Obviously, it works for me, okay? Yes, it fell, but it works. I have these cards, which this is where we cut out all of our words, and the students will keep these there, and I have their names on them. I have practice cards here that my students will try to read very quickly. So we do the sounds together. So there's different groups of them. I have blends, digraphs, vowel patterns, and then word families. And then I just have this little spinny piece here in order to grab anything that I might need. So the card is great because it helps me keep everything organized, and I love that I can move it around, shift it as I need it, just so that I can access anything pretty quickly. Now onto the really important matters, which is my food. I am starving, so I'm ready to eat. But the thing that I was telling you about was this little crock pot. First of all, look how small it is. But what I love about it is that you plug it in and it will heat up your food for you, which is so nice. So I just remember to plug it in about an hour and a half, maybe, before I eat, and then that way my food is ready to go. So it has multiple lids. So I take this lid off, and as you can see, there's a lid there. You have to kind of pop this open, and then that releases any of the pressure, and then you can just open it up and I eat directly from there. So I am going to eat my food, enjoy my lunchtime, and then I am going to catch up with you guys in just a little bit and share some more wonderful things that I'm using inside of my classroom. In case any of you were wondering, this is what I brought. So we had Texas Roadhouse last night, and so I had leftover chicken, gravy, and then there's rice underneath it. Oh, it smells so good, and it's nice and warm. Oh, so yummy. Lunch was delicious, and I feel so much better because I have food in my belly. So now what I'm doing is I am going to get a slide up and going for my students who are going to be coming back from lunch. And so I like to do this, and really I call it's just my what are we doing slide. I don't really have a name for it, but I like it because it tells students exactly what I expect from them without me having to tell them. So it's very, very basic, but I wanted to show this to you because it is a great way to organize your literacy block. So that way you're able to get things done and kind of wrap up with certain things before moving on to the next item. So let me show you what this slide looks like. We are yet again at my computer, and on this computer it is a basic Google Time slide or Google slide. And what I do is I'm going to go ahead and present it so that you guys can see it a little bit better. But it has just what are we doing up at the top. Now for this class, they were working on completing 4.1 vocabulary. They had to make sure that their 2 paragraphs were finished, and then they had to finish up with 3.3 if they did not have that done already. And then I have some choice down here at the bottom. So I'm not going to do that for this room just yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell them that come in and take a seat. We do not have a roar today. You may get... Okay, so here's what I have. So it's very simple. What are we doing? Come in, take a seat. We don't have roar, which is our intervention. You may read or work on typing club freckle for 10 minutes. So then what I do is I will play this, which is something that I just found on YouTube. It has that snowy background because I'm trying to channel some snow at the moment, and it'll play some music. So let me... Oof, it's super loud and I need to fix that. All right, so now that is ready to go. Everything is up. And now I'm gonna go and grab my students. So I will see you guys a little bit later on in the day when I have special. Getting closer to the end of the day. Once my kiddos come back from special, I have about 30 minutes with them, and then they go outside. We do read aloud, and that's it. I plan on taking my oldest to go to Kohl's. My younger son's birthday is tomorrow, so I have lots of like planning, all of the different things. So I'm gonna be very, very busy. But as I'm trying to get things together, I did meet with my block 2. We did our social studies lesson. We've done our reading, and then when they come back, they're going to have the opportunity to work on vocabulary. And we also did our warm-up as well. But I wanted to share with you because one of the things that I have been doing quite a bit of is polling for small groups to hit more focus areas. So I have like decodables that I use with one group. I have short passages that I read with others, and then I do some of these readers as well. Now, these are from Rating A to Z. I purchased my own subscriptions just so that I can use it for my students. But what it means is that I end up having a lot of books, lots of these little books. And I like to send these home with students who just need that extra fluency practice. So we practice them here in the classroom, we review over some of those words, and then they get to go and do those at home. But what I will do is I will take some of these readers, and then I will have colored paper, just like this, for their group. And then I will just rubber band them just so that I can figure out which books belong with which group. Makes it really, really easy. I can put it into my 43 folder system and I'm done, which is a fantastic organizational hack because I can just look for the color versus having to look to find the name. So I have a green group, a blue group, a yellow, orange, and my pink one is MIA at the moment. So I'm going to be getting their books together for the next several weeks so that I am prepped and planned in advance and I don't have to like depend on it every single week. But that's where I'm at. And even if you were doing passages, so if you had decodable readers, which I definitely do, I'm like looking for them. But what I could do is take like decodable stuff and then just put it right there on top and then paper clip it like this and then put it inside of my 43 folder system. And again, I can just look for that color versus having to search and find what passages was I supposed to be working with those kids. Makes it really easy and it's in my face, noticeable. So I just use Astro Bright paper to help sort my groups. Super easy peasy. One of the things that I work on when I am here and I have my special is I like to review and to see which kids have submitted certain assignments. As much as I do love Schoology, I feel like sometimes for my brain personally, it makes it really challenging for me to be like, okay, what are you missing? What are you missing? What do I need to make sure that you are getting caught up on? Because a lot of these kids are being pulled out for PT, OT, you know, everything and anything in between. They have band, they have orchestra, and so sometimes they get behind and it's not at their fault. It's just because we're all trying to manage so many different schedules. So what I like to do is I like to use the planner, and I will use the Teaching to the Top or Teaching on the Double planner. I will leave some links down below so that you guys can go and check those out. Currently, we have the January to December. And if you haven't heard or you haven't followed me for very long, myself and Pocketful of Primary, which is Michelle Emerson, we both have a podcast, which is called Teaching to the Top. You can check that out wherever podcasts, you can ever listen to podcasts. And one of the things that we've created together is like the ultimate digital planner. So it comes in a tablet version and it also comes in a Google Slides version. One of the things that I started doing is I started transitioning my checklist from my binder and putting it into my digital planner. So what I've done, and I'm gonna take away some of these names. So what I've done, as you can see here, is I've just created a Google Sheet and I screenshotted it, and then I just dropped this image into the extra tabs that we have up at the top. So my yellow is for my block 2, and then my orange is for my block 1. And so I can just go to my yellow tab, and then I can go and look for the next page that I have available. So already you can see here that we had a compound sentence practice, we had a text structure practice, and then also the vocabulary done from today. And as students are completing them, but I haven't graded them yet, I will highlight it. So the highlight means that it's been submitted. Once I exit off means that I have graded it. Because there are times when kids will submit things and it shows that it's been submitted, but they don't do a great job. And so I need them to go back and finish it. I don't like to X those out just so that it tells me, wait a second, there's something that's missing. So that's kind of the system that I've created for myself. And it just makes it so much easier. Let me show you what the paper version looks like so that way you can get an idea of how I've kind of transitioned from that paper to more of this digital format. Okay, so here's what the paper version looks like. An example of my block 2. So it was made on a Google Sheet, and then I left the top blank, and then I would just go ahead and print it out. So their names are over here off to the side, and I would print out multiple copies of them. And so I would just write in what the assignment was, and then I would mark them off. So basically what I've done is I've just taken a screenshot of this, and then I've now placed that into my digital planner to make it a little bit easier for myself. So that way I'm not having to worry about the paper version. My goal is to be able to get rid of this binder and then some of those binders that I have over there, and really just have everything be digital. So that way I don't have to worry about the paper mess at the end of each day. I feel like my lighting has constantly changed throughout this entire video, and I do apologize for that. However, I get the east sun when it's rising, and so it's very yellowy in my classroom in the beginning, and then as it starts to move over to the other side of the building, I get kind of like this blue light. It's just all over the place. And I don't like the overhead lights because they hurt my head. So I don't typically turn all of those on all day long. And when I'm by myself, I just keep them off because it's just a little bit easier. So, as I mentioned, it is my special time. I'm gonna work to try to get as much done as possible because I need to leave ASAP. And I usually leave as soon as the kids leave. I do not tend to stay after school for any reason whatsoever. That's why I come in early. I like to come in an hour early to get my things done, get everything in order, because I don't have a special every single day. So it works in my favor to be here just a little bit early. But I hope that you guys enjoyed watching this little vlog, kind of following me along through the day, and also getting some of those tips for different ways that you can organize your literacy block to either make it work more efficiently for behavior-wise, like with your students, or working for you as the teacher. If any of these ideas really stuck out at you and you were like, ooh, I'm gonna try that, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know which one you're gonna try, or if you have something that you love inside of your classroom right now, share it with everybody else. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will be back next week with another video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time. Bye.